Welcome to Mocking with the Stars. I am your host, Gator J. As always, you can find me at FantasyJ77 over there on Twitter. And as always, my co-host, Chris Battlestyle at FFChrisB over there on Twitter. My guy, how are you tonight, Chris?
I'm doing gravy, Gator. Excited to draft some Dynasty players here with you and Hutch, man.
Yeah, man. And speaking of, you and
sorry.
I have no. We've got the honor of welcoming in one of the youngest ever participants in the Kings Classic up there in Canton at the Football Expo. One of the brightest young minds in the fantasy space. A man whose perfect Sunday goes just like this. We wake up, we get a nice workout, we go to church, and then we got 10 hours of football on TV. Creates content for the Football Guys and DLF, co-host of Hooked on Fantasy there with Luke Sawhook, and one half of the Into the Mind of Two Idiots podcast. Yeah. A man who also absolutely loves IKEA meatballs, and the star of tonight's Mocking with the Stars, Mr. Hutchinson Brown at Hutchinson_FF over there on Twitter. Hutch, how are we tonight, sir?
Yo, that intro, man. That was one of the best intros I've ever received for a podcast. Oh my goodness. You guys dug deep. You guys found some deep tweets of mine. Holy crap. That is beautiful. I love it. That was fantastic. That just made my night. I'm not even kidding. I would love that.
That is
gosh. That was fantastic.
That is the absolute reason we have our guy, Chris Battlestyle, on board, the researcher himself.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's
go deep. Good work.
Yes, absolutely. Tonight's mock is a one quarterback, half-point tight end premium, third round reversal. No rookies in this mock. Reason being is next week we will be doing a one quarterback rookie mock to follow this one up with. We got some great questions going on tonight for you, Hutch. Calvin's already in the chat saying hello to.
I see it. Yeah,
there you go. We've already started the draft. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the board up right here. Going through the draft, looking pretty good so far. First of all, Hutch, I want to ask the first question to you. In a one quarterback dynasty, we see Justin Jefferson go off at the 1-1 here. Should CMC be the 1-1 due to just the points per game separation from last year alone?
We talking Dynasty or redraft? Sorry, I might have missed the Dynasty.
Okay.
So, I mean, in Dynasty, when you look at it, you have to draft Justin Jefferson. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is supreme advantage at the running back position, potentially again this year. He was this past year, and he's been over his career a fantastic running back. But when you look at the Dynasty landscape, it's a wide receiver's game, man, especially when you look at the age gaps. Justin Jefferson has a lot more of his career left when you compare it to Christian McCaffrey, who's 27 years old, has a lot of miles on those legs. I would not expect Christian McCaffrey to be a stud for much, much longer. I mean, you could probably get a couple more years out of him, but you're probably not looking at a lengthy career, especially when you compare it to Justin Jefferson. So when you look at it from a dynasty perspective, you have to be taking Jefferson over McCaffrey.
Yeah, I'm loving your start already. Well, we talked about Jefferson.
I wanted Gibbs, but Gibbs got taken right away. I wanted Gibbs to come back.
Yeah, that's
got it.
He's going to go quickly.
Yeah, he's going to go quick. Yeah.
I love him. We talked about Justin Jefferson going 1-1 here. How much does the Falcons signing of Kirk Cousins change the value in your mind of Justin Jefferson?
We all like to talk about how Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof, and it's not like he's played with a bad quarterback just yet. He hasn't really had a consistent season with a terrible quarterback. We might see him with a rookie. We might see him with Sam Darnold. We might see him 50-50. I think no matter what, though, he's going to be the offense. I mean, this guy is just a difference maker. We know what he is. And I feel like even with a poor quarterback, he's going to be able to do just fine for fantasy. I would look at him, maybe not as wide receiver 1 overall this year, but more as like a top 6 kind of option, like a fringer top 6 guy. Like I'd be taking CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably Jamar Chase, potentially over him for this season specifically because of the quarterback play. But overall, I'm not too worried about Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison is the one I'm specifically worried about. And then Hutchinson as well could suffer a little bit, but tight ends tend to be less dependent on quarterback play. When you look at the numbers, they tend to just do well anyways because they're just such a secure target. And we know Hawkinson's that guy. Addison is the one you got to worry about, though, not Jefferson.
Yeah, I was good as you brought up Addison and then Hawk. Do you, for this year at least, do you feel like the Aaron Jones signing is going to affect Hawkinson when it comes down?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Aaron Jones, we know he's a supreme pass catcher. And looking at last year, when you watched him play, when you look at the numbers, when he was healthy on the field, he was a supreme player. Like he really was like a Pro Bowl level running back. He was playing fantastic football. And when he's on the field, he's someone that takes those dump offs, takes those in the middle passes. And that's somewhere where TJ Hawkinson could thrive. You know, he's a player. TJ Hawkinson can stretch the field. He can move downfield. He's an athletic tight end, but he's a tight end. Those shorter routes are usually his. Over the middle routes is usually his, and I'm afraid that Aaron Jones could take some of those targets away. So Aaron Jones absolutely does impact this offense in the receiving game, specifically to DJ Hawkinson. I would say it's a negative as well.
Chris, we're doing a one quarterback draft here.
Yep.
Is Allen going at 1-6? Is that where you think that first quarterback coming off the board should be? Or again, should he be falling behind the CMC, the Breece Hall, even possibly the Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson area?
One QB dynasty, I'm good fading them into oblivion at this point with the quarterback. I'm not as attached to try to get that elite production from the position when I only need one of them to produce. Give me that safe floor guy. I'm not going to jump up and take a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts this early when I can possibly get an Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins, someone like that who can produce, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. These guys aren't the sexiest names, but I just need them to give me that safe floor at the position, where as opposed to Superflex or 2QB, you want those elite producers to give you that positional advantage. So for me, 1-6, 1-9 for Mahomes, even 2-11 in Stroud in the second. I get it's dynasty, but in a 1QB draft, I'm not approaching it that way. So yeah, it's a little early for me.
Well, you were fixed to be on the clock. Hutch, you just picked Trey McBride there with your third pick. Same question to you when it comes to these quarterbacks. Are you with Chris where you just kind of fade them all the way down? I mean, you haven't taken your quarterback yet. And again, it's a one quarterback league, so I wouldn't expect you to. But are you surprised that there's 5 quarterbacks off the board this early? At 3-2 seems pretty soon to me.
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that because I haven't actually been a part of a one quarterback dynasty league yet. All the leagues are super flex that I'm in. So it's just the thing nowadays. Everyone's super flex. But I have done plenty of mocks with people that are one quarterback, including this one now. And I've done plenty of mocks of my own and researched the strategy of it. I would agree that when you look at the quarterbacks, if they're going this high, like 1-6, 1-8 from Mahomes and Allen, like I think that's just a little too, or 1-9 from Mahomes. Sorry, 1-9. I think it's a little too expensive for me because when you look at the wide receiver and the running back position, they're just so there. It's a little bit of a fringe position when you compare it to quarterback. The quarterback position, you can find replaceable guys that can at least give you a year or two at least of starting caliber play, like down the line in the draft. But don't hear what I'm saying though, because there are plenty of one quarterback drafts I've been in where the quarterbacks are not going. I've been in a one quarterback dynasty draft where no quarterback has gone the first 2 rounds, and I'm like, I'll take Josh Allen round 3. Like, that sounds easy to me. Yeah. Like, Josh Allen's a fantastic fantasy player. He's been quarterback 1 each of the past couple of seasons. Like, he's been a dominator. Round 3, I'll take it. Absolutely. But with this price where the quarterbacks are going here, I quickly realized, like, all right, I'm probably have to take a step back on quarterbacks here, because when there's a positional run, something you want to do in fantasy, when there's a positional run, when something's going super high, it tends to be a better idea just to go away from that position and find value elsewhere. Because you're just, when you draft at the end of the run, you're getting the less of what everyone else is getting compared to the best of what no one else has. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always better to zag. So when I see the quarterbacks going this high, I'm like, I'll just pass for now. I'll look for it later in the draft. And especially with the tight end premium, Trey McBride sitting there at the 3rd round is like, that's easy.
Yeah, second tight end off the board. So I actually, I'm huge on McBride this year, especially depending on what they do in the draft. But not having Marquise Brown, going to Tennessee. But yeah, I think that's a very, very fair there. If you're sitting in outside of it being Superflex 1 QB, what is a must-have setting for Hutchinson Brown when it comes to Dynasty?
Oh, wow. That is a must-have setting. Not super flex or
Yeah,
one
yeah.
quarterback.
Leave the
Ignore that.
super flex
I'll leave
one
that.
QB out
It's
of it.
usually I'm a super flex guy because
Mhm.
like one quarterback makes it too boring. Super flex makes it a lot more interesting for me.
Yep.
Man, that's really, really interesting. What is a format that I must have? I mean, this isn't an exact format, but deeper rosters just in general. You got to have deep rosters for me in Dynasty because I love having like triple flex 3 wide receivers, like those deep rosters. You got to scratch and claw at the end of your draft or scratch and claw from the waiver wire. Like that just makes it so much more fun for a Dynasty league when you're really building out a deep roster. So if you're doing like 2 receivers and like 1 flex, like I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot less fun that way. Unless you're in like a 30 team league, then it makes more sense. But if you're in like a regular 10, 12 man league, you got to have like 3 receivers, 3 flexes, a super flex even on top of that. Like I like deep rosters.
Yeah, so you heard it right here. You heard it first. Hutchinson does not want anything to do with waivers weekly.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. It just makes it a lot more fun. It makes it a lot more challenging when you have deep rosters. I love that challenge. I'll take it on all day.
So when you say a deeper roster, you like the deeper starting roster and a shorter bench.
Correct. Yeah, the deeper starting roster specifically. I mean, if you want to have a longer bench too, go for it. But the deeper starting roster specifically, it makes it a lot more challenging. I like that redraft too. A deeper starting roster is always so much more fun. It just makes everything more challenging.
Chris, do you have a setting that you prefer that is a must-have for you to join a league?
I don't like getting too out there, getting too wild with the scoring, 0.5 PPR, half point tight end premium to give the tight ends a little bit of a boost in the scoring field. I don't do kickers or team defenses in my dynasties, but if I have a big roster, I kind of want some kind of taxi so I can, store these 4th or 5th round rookie draft picks that may not be producing right away. So a taxi, half point PPR, and a half point tight end premium is where I want to be.
I want to run through this draft real quick, get through these first 3 rounds at least, and let's see where these guys are standing in your opinions. We had Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Josh Allen, the first quarterback off the board, Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, Puka Nacua, Jahmyr Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, and then going into the second round, Sam Laporta, A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr., Travis Etienne, C.J. Stroud, Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, Jalen Hurts, Brandon Ayuk to round out the second round. And remember, this is a third round reversal. Coming back at 3-1 was Drake London. I think that's a steal at 3-1 right now.
Yeah.
3-2 was Lamar Jackson. Trey McBride at 3-3. Devontae Smith at 3-4. Kyle Pitts at 3-5. Isaiah Pacheco. Dalton Kincaid. Tank Dell. Kyron Williams. Devon Achane. Jordan Addison. And Kenneth Walker to round out your top 3 rounds. Chris, who is somebody that does not belong in these top 3 right now, in your opinion?
Oh, great question. And it's chock full of picks that should be there. I'm going to take the easy way out here, and I'm going to say first 3 rounds. I'm going to go Dalton Kincaid, man. I get it's tight end premium. He's on the Buffalo Bills, but there's other options at tight end where I think I'd rather go over Dalton Kincaid, maybe even at positionally wise. The running backs that go after him, Walker, Achane, Williams, Barkley, Cook, all guys that are going to have increased roles in their offense. And then you're looking at the wide receivers there. So he did have a decent role at the back end of the Buffalo Bills season, but for me, it's the Kincaid pick. What about you, Gator?
Well, I'm going to try to steal this before Hutch does, but I think the person we just talked about, and it may be okay at 311, but Jordan Addison with the question mark at QB. We know that Aaron Jones, like Hutch was saying, is going to take some of the underneath stuff, and then you still got JJ there. I think Jordan Addison is somebody that shouldn't possibly, maybe at 311 is fine, but I think there's players that are coming off the board in that 4th round that I think I would rather have over Jordan Addison at this point. Again, 100%. This is Dynasty, so you're having a younger player, so that may take into account as well. Hutch?
So those are 2 great picks. Those are 2 excellent picks. I would, I know he's had a really good offseason, He's had a really good offseason so far. It's been nice for him. But I still am really worried about Kyren Williams. I think I love your two picks, but Kyren Williams is one guy. I don't know if you've seen my Twitter. You've probably known that I've been out on him all offseason. I've been doubting him all offseason. He had a fantastic year. But when you look at his profile and who he is, he's a sub 200-pound running back. And he's a very little guy, very little frame. He was I believe, a 5th-round pick who did nothing in his rookie year, even though the Rams struggled immensely at running back. They could have given him an opportunity, but decided not to. And then he comes into his second season. They give Cam Akers 22 carries in the first game. Kyren Williams doesn't even get those carries. They gave him 22 carries in the first game to Cam Akers, and then eventually he gets traded and everything there happens. And then Williams gets starting role, and he dominates when healthy. He does get injured at one point, misses a handful of games, but then he comes back and dominates. There is just no way that the Rams can leave their backfield the way it is. Because when you look at it, their backfield without Kyren Williams last year was just disastrous. They were signing Darrell Henderson off the streets, Royce Freeman off the streets, and immediately when Kyren Williams came back, they cut those guys. It was just disastrous the way they ran the running back room without Kyren Williams there. You just can't go into a season that way. You can't go into a season with a 190-ish pound running back saying this is our guy, and if he gets hurt, we're screwed. You just can't do that. They're going to draft somebody. They're going to bring in somebody important, and it's going to really hurt Kyren Williams' value. Because I've been saying this all offseason. There is a world where midway through this coming 2024 season that Kyren Williams is pretty much completely irrelevant for fantasy. There is a world, because we've seen this so many stories before. We've seen this so many times. You talk about Michael Carr's of the world. You talk about Tyler Algiers of the world. We talk about James Robinson, where you talk about Dameon Pierce. These are all mid to late round running backs that got drafted, had dominant first seasons when they actually got opportunity. And then, or at least maybe not dominant, but really impressive first seasons with opportunity. And then they immediately get replaced and then they're done. There's just no investment in Kyren Williams, and we know this Rams offense is willing to move from running back to running back. They were quick to move on from Todd Gurley. They eventually moved on from Cam Akers. I feel like they're going to do the same with Kyren, especially with his draft capital. So I'm just out on him in the 3rd round. I just don't think that's worth the pick there.
Anybody that you see in those first 3 rounds that was a steal or a very good value at where they got picked? Hutch.
Ooh, a steal. Oh man, that's tough. I would. Those first 3 rounds, man, that's really, really interesting. There are a couple players you can shout out here for that price range. I want to talk about, man, I'm tilting over here a little bit. It's up. There's a lot of good. There's a few good picks here. I'm not gonna lie. I would talk about Isaiah Pacheco real quick, actually. I think, he was drafted pretty high among the running backs, but when you look at the 3rd round draft price, I think he's established himself. He is one of those later round guys that we've talked about that I just mentioned earlier that I don't like. But Isaiah Pacheco is a little bit different because he had that season, and the Chiefs did not do anything about it. They come into this season, they gave him the workload yet again, not only in the running game, but also in the passing game. They could add somebody small in the draft. They could. Their draft charge a little low, but Isaiah Pacheco has established himself over the last couple of years as the Chiefs' lead running back. He's won 2 Super Bowls with them. This guy is their legit starting running back, and he's just such a good player too. He runs with such physicality, such aggressiveness, and he's on a fantastic offense. So I think this draft among running backs, because he got drafted as the RB7, that's fine. But usually I see him going a little later than this in the mid 3rd. I usually see him going a little later. So I am quite excited about that. Oh my goodness. And I'm just realizing I totally
just went on auto
whiffed on that. I got distracted talking. I totally whiffed on that.
I can do this. It's Deontay Johnson. You want to keep it or you want to go somewhere else?
I would personally go elsewhere if that's okay.
Yep.
You got to take it off auto first.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. I got to take it off auto.
No need to
apologize. Sorry, I totally got distracted.
10 push-ups, Hutch. 10 push-ups, brother.
10 push-ups. 10 push-ups. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, and then did it start back up?
Yeah, we're good. All right. So let's make this pick now. Let's look at this.
Yeah. So while you're on the clock there, Hutch, Chris, I want to steal something Chris said about Isaiah Pacheco. I guess it was about mid-season this past year, where he said Isaiah Pacheco runs. How did you say it now? He runs
runs like the beach sand's hot.
The beach. Yeah. Yes, it was put out a tweet or whatever you did. It was phenomenal. And it wasn't even until then
kill
that I actually
myself.
started watching how he ran through the hole.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how people run when the beach
it's
sand is hot.
insane.
Ta, 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 ta. It
No,
was
dude, it's
absolutely
legit
great.
insane. The dude is crazy. Like he's just runs with such aggressiveness. It's like when you look at when you're trying to rank how aggressive or how physical does this player run, Isaiah Pacheco is like one of the top tier. Like he is one of those dudes that just he wants to kill you. he wants to kill you.
Calvin's got a question for us here. Going back to like the scoring settings and all that. How do you feel about median scoring?
Oh, yeah. Median scoring. So by median scoring, I think it means like you also get a win or a loss every week based on how you do against the rest of the league, right?
Against the rest of the league,
mean?
right? Yeah. So you
Yeah,
got an
against the rest of the
average score of all the teams in the league, and you got a win for being more, of course, an L for loss. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it does make it more accurate in terms of wins and losses because it actually describes how you're performing against the league. Because when you look at it, right, in fantasy football, there's a bit of luck. Like sometimes you're like the second most high scoring, but you go against the first highest in the week, and then you just lose, even though you had such a good week. The average, the median thing, it kind of eliminates that a little bit. It eliminates that luck. And I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry, I'm gonna take a quick second.
Go right ahead.
I'm actually gonna I'm gonna reach on the board a little bit here. Actually, wait. Oh shoot, I'm not because he got taken. I didn't even realize that he just got taken. Dang, that's crazy.
Well,
it was Derrick Henry.
Then you're not the only one that was thinking about reaching right there.
Oh, and then
no, it was Derrick Henry. I almost took him with the last pick. I just took with Keenan Allen, but I thought he would make it back. But I guess I was wrong. But yeah, Derrick Henry's totally gonna be my pick. That's a fantastic one. Whoever that name is, I'm not gonna read it because I know I'm gonna say it wrong.
It's Shy. Or
Shia LaBeouf.
Da Equinox.
LaBeouf.
Maybe.
I got to take on the median scoring though. I'm on the fence with it. I'm okay with it in redraft because there's like Hutch said, fantasy football is kind of built on a little bit of luck. And I think there's more of that in redraft than there is in Dynasty because of the research that Dynasty players put into just roster construction and, researching rookies and just diving into their rosters as a whole. So I think it has a place in redraft. Not a big fan of it in Dynasty, only because it's put in place to really protect the better teams, right? The higher scoring teams have a better chance of making the playoffs because they have that protection every week where they're scoring more than the league median. So they have a better chance of squeaking in. I like the Cinderella stories. I like it when a team
it's more fun.
As a high win team that maybe just doesn't make it. Give me the team that just squeaks into the playoffs and then makes a run to the finals, whether they win or lose. It's just as a league as a whole, it's a little less boring. I find the league median kind of creates a little bit of a boring space around the competitiveness of the league as a whole.
The only thing the only thing I'll disagree with you is when it comes to that is in a huge tournament such as Scott Fish Bowl where it does make a difference.
Yeah, tournament,
right? Tournament. That's where it should fit. Right?
Tournament's a whole different thing.
Yeah. How do you evaluate long-term value versus the immediate impact when it comes to Dynasty, Hutch?
Oh man, I mean, usually when I look at Dynasty fantasy football, you could kind of see from my team here. I try to look at a 3-year window or like a 2-year window, like 2 to 3 years is where you want to look. Because the thing is, the NFL is so fluid and things change so fast. You just have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, I want to put out a prime example of this. I want to put out Justin Herbert for a second. I mean, in the first couple of years of his career, this dude was like competing for top 3 Dynasty quarterback contention. And now when you look at him, now that Jim Harbaugh's been added, now that all that's been happening, he's lost all his receivers. It's like, what the heck do we do Justin Herbert? And the same thing with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, when he was drafted, this kid was Jesus of the NFL draft. I mean, he couldn't do anything wrong. I mean, he was a top tier quarterback prospect. And then now over the last couple, after this past season of disappointment, it's just, and he's lost Calvin Ridley. It's just like, is he that guy? Is he that guy that can take that step that we want him to? There's things change so fast. So always try to look at Dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window. Don't look at it. It's like, oh, I got my guy for 7 years. You don't. You probably don't. It's very unlikely that you get a player that produces for that much time with the consistency that you want. you got to look in like a 2 to 3 year window. So that's how I approach Dynasty overall.
Chris, anything to add to that?
No, same way. 3-year window, running backs, the window might get a little bit smaller. Wide receivers, the window might get a little bit bigger, right? So, same kind of approach. That 3-year span. If I'm competing, I don't like doing the full tear down rebuild. I kind of like doing the half rebuilds and stuff like that. So, but yeah, 3-year window is where I'll look at it, and then adjust every year, depending on where I need to make moves to better my team.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Zamir White was a great pick there. I would have been looking for him. I would have been looking for Zamir White.
Just don't lie to yourself, man.
I know. No, hold on. Just hold on a second, man. I mean, I think White is one of those guys that could really surprise this year. I've never been as White fan. I've never been a huge fan, and I'm still doubtful of him. I think that the Raiders could absolutely draft somebody. I'm not very confident in the talent, but at that price for a running back that could be the workhorse of Antonio Pierce's offense, I mean, like, that's just a solid value. And we saw what he did towards the end of last year. He was excellent. He was seriously excellent. I went back and watched it. He seriously played really good ball. So I'm actually like a little like, okay, what could we see here from him?
Well, in this instance here, so let's actually look at LC. I mean, he's his third running back, right? Travis Etienne, Brian Robinson, Zamir White.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not horrible.
Well, he's got 2 running backs. He's got 1 and 2 halves. So we'll keep it.
Okay. Yeah. He's got 2 halves. I got you. All right. I got it. I just want to run through I want to catch the listener up on the 4th, 5th, and 6th round. Here we had James Cook, Saquon Barkley, Rashad White, Anthony Richardson at 4-4, DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, Rashid Rice, Josh Jacobs, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Stephon Diggs, DK Metcalf, and Deebo Samuel closing out the 4th. Starting in the 5th, we had Tajay Spears, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Justin Herbert, Jake Ferguson, Reed out of Green Bay, George Pickens, Mark Andrews, Mike Evans, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce. Starting the 6th, we had Trevor Lawrence, Najee Harris, Devontae Adams, Jordan Love, DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson, Christian Watson, Christian Kirk, who is that? Alvin Kamara, Keenan Allen, Jamal Williams, and then Derrick Henry to close out the 6th round. Any surprises in there? I mean, are you surprised to see Love after Lawrence?
Oh shoot! I was really just at the click and that was my guy anyway. It's okay.
That's it. Are you surprised to see Jordan Love go after Trevor Lawrence there, Hutch?
I mean, I'm not surprised, but it's not how I would have done it. I would take Jordan Love over Trevor Lawrence. I'm kind of getting there with Lawrence. I mean, Love put up a fantastic season his first year starting. Lawrence has had a couple of years. He just hasn't gotten that level, and the receiving room around him is just not there right now. I'm starting to get a little worried about Lawrence. I would have taken Love first.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. And Chris, I want to send it to you. I want to send it to you next, but I think Love should be the pick because what Green Bay has done with Love is, for 2 years now, he's had the same receiving core for the most part. Whereas when you look at Trevor Lawrence, not only is he not have the same receiving core, they bring people in, they bring, ship people off or you don't play him, but he's also not had the same coaching staff for 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. It's been rough with Lawrence, but if you're breaking down who he is as a fantasy asset, you kind of dig what he can do. And if you're looking at Lawrence and Love as 2 separate players, they're almost the same guy. They're going to finish as back end QB1s or top end QB2s for fantasy. Both don't propose a giant threat with their legs. Trevor Lawrence can run the ball. Jordan Love can run the ball, but they're not going to be these guys, the top 5 finishers of QBs that are elite rushers. So they're going to fit around that same spot. So do I think Jordan Love should go before Trevor Lawrence? No. Do I think it's wrong? No, I would be okay if Love went before Lawrence, and I would be okay if Lawrence went before Love. The only thing I got a problem with here is picking 2 QBs in a 1 QB draft that early. That's the only issue that I got.
Well, I mean, he's not picking a starter QB.
Correct. Well, he's picked Richardson. No,
Yeah.
he picked Richardson and Love.
I looked
Oh, you're
down
talking
and
about
I saw Dak Prescott.
Well, I don't
Justin
know. Don't be
Fields.
so quick to count.
Oh,
out
so did I.
Justin
Yeah, I
Fields
thought I
as
was thinking he was talking
starter.
about that too. You know,
Don't be so quick to count
get-
out Justin Fields as a starter, though.
Well,
I
no,
think
but
that's
I guess,
Yeah.
maybe because it's so early. I mean, the
It is a
second
little
QB,
early.
yeah, the second QB probably shouldn't be coming off the board till round 12, 13. And hell, there's probably a couple teams on here right now. I can't see the top of the board, but there's probably a couple teams on here that still don't have their first quarterback.
Yeah, which is fair.
There is not. Every team
There's
has
not?
at least
Okay.
one. Every team has at least one.
There is- okay.
Yeah,
I
the
just can't
last
see the top of the board now.
Yeah, no, you're
Scroll
good.
it
Yeah.
down.
The last team that drafted their first quarterback, I think, was Team 12 with Brock Purdy, the 8-12.
Okay.
So not too long ago. But yeah, that was
the last first quarterback taken, I think.
All right, we are starting the 10th round here. We had Saquon Barkley go in round 4 there at 4-2.
Love that.
New
pick.
to Hutch's Eagles. How are you expecting him to come in? Is he gonna be able to do what DeAndre Swift did, or better?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Saquon Barkley. I mean, I think Saquon Barkley couldn't have ended up in many better spots than Philadelphia. I mean, this is really just a perfect offense for him.
Mhm.
They've got a top tier offensive line. I know they just lost Jason Kelsey, but with the other talent they have on that team, they'll likely still be in the top 5 conversation for offensive line. And the Giants over the last couple of years, they've been bottom 6 in run back rate over the last 2 years. They've been a mess with quarterbacks over the last handful of seasons, and their coaching staff. They've changed head coaches 3 times in Barkley's career. The Eagles are way more secure as a team. They have a loaded offense around the board with everybody, and they've got a solid head coach, and they've paid him a ton of money, and they want to run the football with him. I think he's going to get a ton of volume, especially when you look at the depth chart behind him. It's only Kenneth Gainwell and like Boston Scott. Otherwise, it's nobody. Like Saquon is just going to get the absolute workhorse level workload. And we want to talk about the receiving game. People always talk about, oh, the receiving game's not going to be there. Blah, blah, blah. DeAndre Swift caught 39 passes last year. And right, when you look at DeAndre Swift, he caught 39 passes. Saquon is a much better play. He can do more than that. And you might say, oh, like 40 to 50, that's still a little low for Saquon. Not really. After his rookie season, I mean, I'm going to draft real quick here.
Mhm.
Okay. After his rookie season, when he caught 90 plus passes, right? That season was crazy. From that point on, when he was playing healthy, played most of the games, he's averaging around 40, 50 catches a game with the Giants. Like, that's where he was averaging when you look at the reception numbers. So he's going to be doing just fine in Philadelphia. Everything about this move for him is a complete upgrade. As long as he's still got juice, which I still think he does at 27 years of age, I'm expecting big things for Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I wanted to bring him up because I know, you being the Eagles fan, and I saw, I believe it was it last week, the week before last, it was right after Saquon signed. You had a tweet out there talking about how you thought that he was definitely going to be able to get into the receiving game and actually produce at least what Swift was doing and probably more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What are the chances Kelsey
absolutely.
comes back, and now that they have a team that can probably go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, with Saquon, the Saquon Barkley thing,
DeAndre Swift was great. DeAndre Swift was great. He was really, really good, but Saquon Barkley just takes that offense to a whole new level. I mean, DeAndre Swift's fantastic. I can't wait to see him in Chicago. I think he's going to do good things there. But Saquon takes his team to a whole new level.
What who takes the bigger hit in that offense between Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts? Because really, if you look at what they were able to do last year, they didn't really have a guy to be that goal line back for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts was that guy. The Saquon Barkley, knowing that they didn't ban the tush push, right? So that's still going to be an option for the Eagles. But it's a play that, opposing teams hate defending against. So maybe they get a little dirtier. It's a play that maybe your offensive line hates running because they're automatically at the bottom of the pile. And as defensive teams start to hate these plays more and more, I mean, they're going to get a little dirtier and dirtier as these plays go on. So how much of the signing of Barkley is to take Jalen Hurts out of that situation? Because we've seen guys like Patrick Mahomes get hurt, and we've seen Jalen Hurts come up from these piles limping at times. So whose production does this hurt more? Does it hurt Jalen Hurts more because the Eagles might be pivoting away from the tush push as much, or does it hurt Saquon Barkley more because it's the Eagles and they're still going to run the tush push?
I think no matter what way you look at it, I think Jalen Hurts is definitely going to be hurt worse here, because when you look at Saquon in the offense, you may think, oh, the tush push is going to take away all his touchdowns. I want you to tell me how many touchdowns was he scoring in New York with that offense? I mean, he didn't get the red zone very often. That
They
offense
just didn't make the trips. Yeah, exactly.
They just didn't make the trip to the red zone. So Saquon wasn't scoring tons of touchdowns. But when you look at this offense, they're going to be in the red zone a lot. They're going to score a bunch of points. As long as Jalen Hurts, as long as they're not the last 6 games of the season, Eagles, they're going to be in the end zone a lot. And there will be enough touchdowns to go around for both to be fine. I don't think we see Jalen Hurts 13 or 15 rushing touchdowns again, though. I think they've brought Saquon in to take away the tush push. And because they're paying Jalen Hurts a ton of money, they want to develop him in their franchise quarterback. They want to keep him that way. So they're going to want to keep him healthy and keep his legs good. So I'm expecting that, every once in a while, they're going to take away that play and give it to Saquon instead, the guy they're paying a lot of money to run the
exactly. Even if it's only a couple touches, like you said, if it's
it
reduced
won't be
by 7 to 10 times they're doing the tush push, I mean, that's ultimately going to hurt his value just a little bit, not too much, because if it's a short yardage play, he's not getting 5-10 yards on the play, so he's not really accumulating the points there. It's more when they're in the position to score touchdowns of it. So I guess you'd have to go back and see how many scores he scored off the tush push to really see the correlation between where it's going to hurt him. But I was very interested in the signing because they didn't have a guy like Barkley in that backfield last season.
Well, I think it is going to help Barkley in the sense of he's going to get some red zone touches, but I do not think there's any way in hell that Sirianni is going to do away with that tush push if they're on the 1 yard line. It is so successful.
I agree.
So
I agree.
I don't know that it's going to hurt, but I don't think it's going to hurt Hurts at all.
Yeah,
honestly. And I think the other side of that coin is Barkley is going to get nothing but a boost because he's in a better offense, going to have more opportunity and more chances. Even if they're at the 50, they're going to have the ball more often than the Giants ever thought of having the ball. They're going to have the ball more in one game than the Giants possessed it all year last year. Agreed. I don't think it's going to hurt him at all.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, I think I'm still expecting nearly double digits for him. Oh, Gus Bus and Devin Singletary. Dang, I wanted that.
It's such a tricky pick because the Chargers can go either way with their draft. They can.
No, running back. They're definitely bringing in a running back, but Gus will be involved. So
the reports early have already been that Gus Bus is going to be the guy for them, short yardage and everything else. But you never know with Jim Harbaugh, man. You never know.
Yeah, no, you never know. But I think that's more coach speak than anything. I think the Chargers, they have to add somebody. They have to.
Yeah,
they just have.
Agreed.
Speaking of running backs, with the quote unquote not great rookie class of running backs coming in, when you're looking and this being the for instance of running backs don't last long anyway. The shelf life is not as long as a wide receiver or any other position for that matter. Do you tend to lean into the veteran running backs here?
I do. I mean, you can see it from my draft. I mean, I definitely do. I mean, I actually I was planning, really hoping I could get Derrick Henry and get Austin Eckler, Ramondre Stevenson, and as my couple RBs here. I like going the veteran running backs later in drafts because at the top of the draft, you get those stud wide receivers, you get your tight end, your quarterbacks, whatever you want to do there, and then later in the draft, because running backs are just so thrown out nowadays, they just really are, to the point where in the late rounds, those stud running backs that are veterans are becoming values, like Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not saying Austin Eckler, Ramondre Stevenson are studs, but these guys are players that can really produce for fantasy and guys that can really help your fantasy teams. And they're just going so late, especially at a position that's so fragile, where having players at that position is really valuable. So I'm really, really happy that I got those guys at those ranges. And then I'm on the clock here. I got to make a pick.
Yeah, you are good right ahead. Chris, what is your approach when you are, most startups are going to have trading, so you can trade for draft picks, you can trade players, whatever. What is your approach when you are looking at trading? Do you like to trade when you're in a startup?
I picked.
I'm not a big trader in startups. I like to kind of just see what falls to me. I will trade if I see the value drop. If there's a guy that I see dropping, that's like, you know what's the 4th round, that guy shouldn't be there. I feel like I can make a move to kind of move up and take him because maybe there's the 3 guys in front of me that could possibly take this guy. That's when I would make my move. I'm not just going to make a move just to make a move. So if I'm in a situation like that, that's where I would trade. Another possibility, if it is super flex, I like to move up to secure 2 stud top 10 quarterbacks. So if I'm in that position, super flex, I don't mind spending, a little bit more of that high draft capital in the startup, and throw in an extra 7th or an 8th to move up a couple spots to secure stud quarterbacks, because Superflex Dynasty, maybe even in 1 QB, I don't know about you guys, I hate scouting quarterbacks. I hate having to rebuild through the quarterback position. So if I can secure 2 guys that have longevity, they have the production profile, and they're consistent QB1 finishers as a dynasty team, that's what I'm looking for. So I got
you like trading in a startup?
That.
I enjoy trading in a startup. Yeah, it's fun. I'm usually not going towards any specific strategy. I'm just looking for value if it's there. But I also want to go back to the running back conversation, because the thing is, when I approached this draft, I, quickly realizing, a while ago, there aren't rookies in this draft. So I really was like, okay, I got to go veteran RB approach, because assuming this was a league, we'd have a rookie draft later.
Mm-hmm.
I like getting my running backs in the rookie draft when they're super young, when they got the juice, when you can get those guys in, the 4th round, 5th round running backs that sometimes pop and have these rookie seasons that are just really impressive and sometimes just show up out of nowhere. I like getting the running backs in the rookie draft because they're still undervalued, but they're crazy young. And honestly, like with this class, I'm not going to lie, there are a couple players I do really like in this class. People are dogging on this class. People hate it, but I like Braylon Allen. I like Trey Benson. I like some of these players. I really, really do. I'm impressed with some of these players in this class. I feel like it's being
okay. We got to send Hutch on his way. He's giving up too much information.
Yeah. I'm even a little too much here. I mean, I've already posted about Braylon Allen on Twitter thousands of times. Yeah, people know I like Braylon Allen.
Keep it on topic of a rookies, Hutch. If there was placeholders or rookies in this draft, where would you start to attack those drafts?
Yeah.
Where would you start to draft rookies?
So looking at this as the 1 quarterback draft, you're looking at Malik Nabers and Marvin Harrison Jr. as the first guys off the board. Those guys would probably, honestly, they're both in contention to be 1st-round picks. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Nabers, these 2 guys are, I don't want to call Malik Nabers generational, but dude, he's so close. Like he is just on that edge for me. He really is. He is a 1B to Marvin Harrison's 1A. I love Malik Nabers. Both of them are fantastic. I like, it's not stealing because it isn't, but when I see Malik Nabers going at the 103 in a super flex league, I'm like, I feel like you're stealing. Like it's not fair that you get to have that talented of a player at the 103. It just feels stupid, but it just is, because Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., they're just better in super flex leagues. But when you're looking at Malik Nabers, I love him. So I think they'll both be in contention to be a top 6 to 8 dynasty receiver right on the get-go, assuming they get drafted within the top 6 picks, which I think is a lock at this point. So they'll be in the 1st, 2nd rounds of most drafts for me. Looking at, they'll be probably, looking at Chris Olave, Tyreek Hill, AJ Brown, they'll be kind of in that range of drafts for me. I would start taking them there, assuming it's a 1 quarterback league.
Like it.
Sorry, I was a rookie there for a second there. I had my mic muted. So just looking at the 1st round there, like where you were talking about bringing him up there, both Marvin Harrison and Malik Nabers, you had Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, those 6 in the 1st round. Would those 6 go ahead of
dang it,
both Marvin Harrison and Malik Nabers for you?
Sorry, I said dang it because I realized I was talking and just got distracted again and went on auto pick.
I don't know.
It's the end of the draft. It's okay. Yeah. But I would never do this in a normal draft. That would be more tentative, but we're talking too. It's hard. It's hard to keep focus on, especially with a 30-second clock. It's like, oh my goodness, what the heck is happening? Anyways, so looking at Jefferson, Lamb, Amon-Ra Chase, I hesitate when you're looking at Wilson. I really, really do. I love Wilson. I think he's a fantastic player. But I'm concerned about the future for Wilson at the quarterback position, because the Jets are obviously, they got Aaron Rodgers right now, but he is a 40-plus-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles tear.
We have no, I mean, the last time we saw him play, it was a down year for him career-wise. We have no clue what he's going to do this season for the Jets. And then after that, what the heck are the Jets going to do at quarterback? We have no idea. So there's a little bit concern there for the future of Garrett Wilson. So they would be, depending on landing spot, depending on where they go, they would be competing for that wide receiver 6 spot. The Wilson's where I start to like be like, I don't know. But those first 5, I think those are locked in. Puka is a player I'm very, very like of. I picked him right there at 10.
Chris, you got another one?
Is that fair?
Yeah, no, very fair. I would probably, if Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors were in this draft, we probably don't see Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes in that first round, and then I'm okay taking them behind the first 5 wide receivers. So Puka Nacua, Chase Brown, Lamb, Jefferson. After those 5, I got no problem taking Harrison, Neighbors, and maybe even Odunze, man. Matt Harmon just dropped his perception profile on Odunze, and every route was green. Sign me up, man.
That grab, like when I watched, like honestly, when I watched him run routes, there were like I watched his film. When I watched him run routes, like there were times where I was like, man, I feel like he could have broken out there better. I feel like he wasn't quick enough here. Like there's some footwork issues that I see, but then he comes out with a reception. I mean, I trust Matt Harmon with this graph here that he puts out, the reception perception. It's beautiful work he does. Maybe I missed something on film, but I know I saw some missteps here a lot with Romeo Odunze, especially more when you compare it to Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr., which he's being competed with in this 2024 NFL draft. So I was shocked by that, but it definitely moved him up for me. It was like it stamped the confidence a little bit for him, for him. I know one graph is like, why would one graph do that? But it's an important thing to see. And I was like, dang.
It really is.
It really is.
Out of the 3 rookie wide receivers there, does one of them for you, when you're ranking them, does landing spot going to contribute more to one of them over the other? Because for me, it's Odunze. Odunze, I would have no problem maybe putting him up to be that wide receiver 2 if he does end up in a much more beneficial situation than Neighbors. Like if Neighbors goes to a spot and he's second fiddle, or the quarterback play isn't that great, I might be a little more hesitant to take Neighbors. Where if Odunze ends up, in a plus situation with great quarterback play, say, okay, Chicago Bears pick Caleb 1, and then they pick Odunze. What they got? 9? 9 or 8?
They got 9. Yeah, they could do that. That's
and then Malik Neighbors ends up in, let's say, the Giants. Which one would you be more inclined in taking?
I would be more inclined, honestly, to take Neighbors, because when you look at, obviously, Caleb Williams, that's fantastic. But when you look at the situation that he's in, he's got a lot of receivers to compete with. I mean, we just saw this Jackson with the jig, but he was a 1,600+ yard receiver at Ohio State. And then he goes into this situation with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and he does nothing. And, not nothing, but he puts up a very modest rookie season. We don't know if he's going to step up. I really think he is. I think he's that dude. I think he's going to be able to step up this year and have a breakout, but we shall see. But Romeo Odunze would have some obstacles there. Malik Neighbors has no obstacles in New York. He is the dude, and the quarterback plays bad, but they're going to have to be able to figure it out at some point.
Now flip it.
Romeo Odunze in New York.
Would you still be more inclined to take Neighbors over Odunze? With Neighbors in Chicago and Odunze in New York?
The thing is with Dynasty, when I draft in rookie drafts, I tend to trust talent. A landing spot, I try not to affect it too much. I try to trust talent, because in Dynasty, that's usually what wins out overall. So when we're talking about, like, especially when we're talking about top 10 picks, like all 3 of these guys could go top 10. And we're talking about top 10 picks, like these guys are all super talented. They're also pretty talented. But I'm looking at who do I believe is more talented, who I think is going to win out their situation.
Neighbors.
And I think Malik Neighbors would be able to do that in both. So I think no matter what happens, I would be looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. 1, Malik Neighbors 2, Romeo Odunze 3. At least that's my expectation. Something could change. Something can go crazy in the NFL draft where it changes, but likely that's my order. Because Romeo Odunze for me is he's just a tiny step behind Neighbors and Harrison. Like it's not a full tier drop, but there's like just a little bit where it's like these 2 are the clear top and Odunze is just outside.
Shit. You're on mute again. There,
You're
Dan.
muted again. Dang, that's 2. That's 2.
I quit. Oh my lord! I even
Oh, my
lost my
goodness.
place on the questions.
Oh.
How do you handle the risk of drafting players with injury history or off the field concerns when it comes to startups?
It really depends on the position. It really does. When you talk about running back, I'm specifically going to shout out Jonathan Brooks here. Running back is so concerning, man, because the window for running backs is just so short when you look at their NFL team. And when you look at teams that usually draft running backs, you usually see them going to teams that need production right away because they draft a running back. It's like, okay, you're going to be our guy. You're going to be our starter. Let's fill you in, especially if it's someone that's like second round capital or maybe potentially higher. Like we're looking at a guy that's, okay, you're going to start for me right away because we need you and you're going to have a short window for us, but we need you now. Right. Brooks is just not that guy. With the ACL tear, it's just not possible for him. He's probably going to miss some start of the season, and that's going to significantly impact his draft capital, and that could really derail his career. So it really depends on the position. If you're looking at, and it also depends on the talent level too. Like if we're talking about, like if Marvin Harrison Jr. had an injury, Marvin Harrison Jr. is Marvin Harrison Jr. He's still an elite stud prospect. Maybe it takes him a little bit down, but he's going to be just fine. He's an elite talent. As long as it's not like an Achilles tear or something that completely tears apart careers, he's going to be just fine. But if it's somebody that's a little bit fringe, somebody like a Jonathan Brooks with that ACL tear, it leaves you a little bit more worried. So I hate to answer that question so broadly and so not a concrete answer, but it really, really depends on talent level and on the position too. Like it changes so much by situation.
Chris, any more questions for Hutch?
No, I think he hit him all on the head today, Gator, man. He's
the stud we thought he was.
Yeah, he's a star. He's the star.
Just the star.
Gotta get some IKEA meatballs in him.
Yes, that's what we should have done.
Dude, I haven't had any in a while. It's so sad.
You know what we should have done would have capped the night off. We should have called Hutch's dad, Andy, and said, "Hey, run to IKEA and right at the 10:50 point, just walk into Hutch's studio and hand him a plate of IKEA meatballs, and it's from the guys." That would have been the right way to close the night out.
Gold, Jerry.
Yeah,
gold.
Y'all don't forget to subscribe over there at Club Fantasy FFL over there on YouTube. If you aren't already, it's time to go fix that. We are on the way to 1,000 subscribers, and we can only do that with your help. Wednesday night is Who's Your Caddy? Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Who's Your Caddy? Golf DFS with Kelly Singh. Wednesday is, no pun intended, the flagship show here, and I think Hutch is going to be on that here shortly. I think there's I think there's a scheduled time that you're going to be on that. We had to slide in there, and we couldn't let Josh and Joe have all the fun with Hutch. So that's at 7 p.m. on Wednesday nights. Mock It Like It's Hot is 11 a.m. on Saturday. Dynasty After Party, 11 a.m. on Sunday. And, of course, right here, Mocking with the Stars, 10 p.m. on Monday. Next week's guest, we are doing a rookie mock with Garrett Price from the Dynasty Nerds. Be sure you are set up to come and watch us. Let us get the rookie mock love out there. Hutch, let the viewers know, let the listeners know where they can find you. What are you working on over there at DLF and at Footballguys?
Real quick before I do that, Equinox ended the question with the draft class. Yes, I'd be trading for those veterans. So I like trading for veterans in Dynasty. When you look at running backs, specifically Derrick Henry, not as much Jacobs, but specifically Derrick Henry, you can send a second for him. Do it. I want to answer that question real quick. I like answering questions.
Yep,
anyway,
absolutely. I missed it coming in there.
Yeah. It came in like right when you started like throwing out a bunch of stuff for Club Fantasy, which is awesome, man. So y'all can follow me on Twitter. I'm at HutchinsonB_FF. I'm a teenage content creator trying to make his way in the fantasy football space. I'm a senior in high school. I'm going to graduate soon. So any level of support would be greatly appreciated. I'm looking for the full-time opportunity in the fantasy football space. I'm doing my best to get there. I've been working for like the past few years at it, and it's been really fun so far. I'm hoping to keep this for the rest of my life. But I'm I'm working with Footballguys. I'm a content creator over there. I make a bunch of stuff for them, articles, videos, whatever you can think of content-wise, I'm doing for them over there. And DLF, I edit their Dynasty podcast. If you like the DLF Dynasty pod, check that out. I also drop some articles for them here and there sometimes. It's fun working over there with them. And check out Hooked on Fantasy Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. Me and Luke live stream it. It's available on podcast app wherever you listen to podcasts on Thursdays. So, yeah. Check it all out.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I wanted to give what was it? I think it was Kevin. Was it Kevin Murray that you were on about 6 months ago? You were on his fantasy interview show. Hang on one second. I'll double check it right now.
I think
Dr. Murray, FF Unlimited.
Yeah,
Yes,
Murray,
yes,
yeah,
Unlimited.
that was
yes.
It was.
That-
I think it was a couple months ago. I think it was. More
Yeah,
recently,
I
but
want to
yeah,
give that
something like
show
that.
a shout out because
Yeah, he's good.
there was
good, man.
there
Oh,
was
yeah.
a lot of background information about Hutch in there. So if
It
you want to
was.
go and learn how
Yeah.
this young man has
Yes.
gone in a 3-year time span to where he's at right now, that job that you are seeking here in the fantasy football industry, it's right around the corner, buddy. It is right
Yes, sir.
around the corner. So
Yes, sir.
you keep
Right
plugging
now.
away
Thank
and
you.
doing what you're doing. It is it's right there. It's right there. Truly appreciate you, Hutch. Chris, let the viewers know where they can find you, what you got going on.
You can find me at FFChrisB on X, and you can find me here every Monday night, 10
dare you call it
p.m.
X.
Eastern,
Twitter.
rocking with my man Gator J on Mocking with the Stars.
As always, draft for talent, trade for need. You don't set a lineup for 5 more months. And until next time, we are.